Now, with the UP elections ending, the exit polls are out. The seventh and final phase of voting in UP concluded Monday, and with the assembly elections in the 5 states. So here are the exit poll predictions. For Uttar Pradesh, the BJP is likely to win in UP and the Aam Aadmi Party may bag most seats in Punjab. A poll of exit polls has indicated after the ending of voting, it predicted a hung house in both Goa and Uttarakhand and BJP emerging as the largest party in Manipur. Now all the health warnings, of course, exit polls are not always right. They don't get it right, and that's been proven time and again. The final results will be revealed only on the 10th of March when counting of votes takes place. So let's focus on Punjab. Exit polls predicted a clear victory for the Aam Aadmi Party in Punjab, with the scale of the party's victory varying across various surveys. Several surveys predict Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party, which is in power in Delhi, getting a landslide victory. The surveys also predicted that the ruling Congress will finish a distant second in the state, followed by the Shiromani Akali Dal, which had allied with the BSP. Now, if the Aam Aadmi Party comes to power in Punjab, it would be a massive change, as Mr. Kejriwal's party would run a full state, unlike in Delhi, which is a union territory. A poll of exit polls in Goa indicated that both the BJP and Congress will end up with 16 seats in Goa, each leading the state for another hung assembly. Goa has a 40-member house and may be heading for that hung assembly, which we saw in 2017 as well. An aggregate of 9 exit polls have predicted. Data indicates both BJP and the Congress will end up with 16 seats. The kingmaker will be Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress, which is contesting in the coastal state for the first time in an attempt to build a pan-India image. Aam Aadmi Party too is contesting in Goa. Now, for Uttarakhand, a poll of polls has predicted that a close contest will emerge between the BJP and Congress, with 34 and 32 seats respectively. Uttarakhand has 70 seats. A poll of exit polls for the Uttarakhand Assembly indicates a hung house with no party crossing the required majority of 36 seats. An average of 10 available exit polls shows this close contest between the BJP and Congress, with the BJP in fact having that slight edge. All right, well, to discuss these poll of exit polls and the exit polls, we're now joined by Dr. Geeta Bhatt, a political analyst and someone who supports the BJP. We're also joined by Badri Narayan, political analyst, social scientist, and someone who supports the Samajwadi Party. Geeta Bhatt, first to you, what is your opinion of what the exit polls have shown so far?
Well, Gargi, first of all, a very happy International Women's Day to all your viewers. Definitely the exit polls, they show a positive picture for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and in 4 states. One thing is, Gargi, clear that especially with respect to Uttar Pradesh, where we have seen the kind of political happenings which took place just before the polls were about to go. And looking at the political social context of the state, it is very clear that the people have taken note of the governance and of the beneficiaries, the Labhartis, those who have been benefited, especially by the ration scheme. And I think it is the delivery which has actually made the difference, where during the pandemic times, in such adverse circumstances, when especially people from the lower middle class, when they were not able to go out to work, these ration kits which were reaching to the people, that is what has that there have been many interactions with the people out there, and a large number of them had come out and said that they do acknowledge that how the government has been coming out and helping out people during those difficult times. And in fact, in spite of all the criticism, it was seen that how the Chief Minister was reaching out in all the districts and trying to see what are the type of medical facilities which are available. Although there has been there has been a counter from the opposition, that not much was done. But the fact is that hardly any representatives of the other political parties were seen on the ground doing anything.
So you feel it is the work done by the government that's managed to, get across all the anti-incumbency, the farmer agitation, joblessness, and again, these are the exit polls, but you feel that what they're predicting shows that the government has done good work on the ground, and that's something which people have seen, and that's what they're voting on, despite even COVID and the pandemic and the kind of deaths we saw during that time.
Well, yes, these were very adverse times, Gargi, no doubt about it. But it was irrespective. I mean, we have seen, those which are considered as a developed nation, how they were dealing with the pandemic. It was an unprecedented, they were unprecedented circumstances, which were something which were a challenge for any government, and rather every government across the world. Even
all right, let me get Badri Narayan in. Sir, your view of what exit polls have predicted. It's been it was looking a lot closer in terms of the kind of noise we saw on during the political campaigning, but the predictions of the exit polls still show that a majority of the people still supporting the BJP.
Yeah, Gargi, first of all, I would like to say that I am not a supporter of any political party. I am a neutral social scientist who understand the election, try to understand the election. And you know that this exit polls came, they are saying two things. One thing is that the narrative or the people narrative of the dissent and is now being co-opted by policies, by implementation of program, by the leader image. So there was dissent, there was a complaints, but those complaints couldn't transfer in the vote, couldn't convert in the vote. If we see if you believe on this, all the exit poll came for UP, and Geeta ji is very right that what worked, Suraksha, for if in the favor of BJP, Suraksha, this ration, and Hindutva dignity, and then the Modi image. Modi image works a lot. Still, it is a very powerful, no? And so these all four factors couldn't work well, and they couldn't allow the narrative of dissent, Mahangai, Berojgari, etc., to throw BJP from the power. And the caste alliances also worked. BJP didn't lost their support of various castes, so it has a votes in various castes, and they all together form a big alliance. But if you see the result of other states like Punjab, like Goa and all, what they are saying that there are another alternative of BJP, that is Aam Aadmi Party, and that's going to create a problem for the Congress, because Congress, earlier people used to see Congress as an alternative of the BJP. Now there is a third stakeholder in the politics of the nation emerged, like Aam Aadmi Party. So these elections, exit polls are telling these things. And people are of Uttar Pradesh. All these issues which you talked, the issues of the Hathras, issues of the pigeon movement, they worked, but not much. They couldn't work as a people narrative, because people have a different kind of social reality.
And what does this mean? Do you feel for the opposition? Of course, we'll still wait for 10th of March for the final results. But this is something that is going to influence going forward an opposition unity or challenge to the BJP in 2024.
Maybe I think that may provide an opportunity for the opposition to regrouping itself against the BJP. And the Aam Aadmi Party, but there may be always two factors. Congress, even being weak, but it is not losing its relevance of the politics of India. So they will be the one pole, and the Aam Aadmi one pole, like Mamata Banerjee and others have also emerged. And there may be another pole, Aam Aadmi Party, with others. and the BJP. So there will be always a triangle. It's very difficult to form bipolar the next groupings of the Indian politics. But as you know, the politics is always a war of contestations and the option. So it will always go. And what I used to say that summer says hai, summer of the politics is still says, and it will go
right.
on.
Geeta Bhatt, coming back to Uttar Pradesh, there's already talk of Yogi Adityanath, coming back as the chief minister, etc. But should the BJP win with a much lower majority than the last time? Do you think that is something that is now in question? There's always been this talk of what Delhi feels and about Yogi Adityanath and these undercurrents that have been talked about. So, do you think his position is safe?
Wait, Gargi, I think, the political leadership of the party has always shown their confidence in Yogi Adityanath as the chief ministerial candidate. And that is the reason that his name was, announced well before the elections went ahead. This is for sure. And I also want to, Gargi, comment on one thing is that in these, if whatever has been projected is true, then Punjab, what was also being talked about was that in Congress, if in Punjab Congress is going to get another electoral jolt, then the party leadership really needs to do some very serious thinking about their relevance, as a pan-India party in the country. And also, one will also have to look at what would be the consequences in terms of Aam Aadmi Party coming in a state like Punjab, which is a border state, and there are many questions which have been thrown
that was all raised during the campaigning as well, and if this indicates it clearly people want a change in Punjab perhaps. And very quickly, Badri Narayan, what do you feel this would indicate for the Congress?
I think Congress is in a crisis. No, Congress is in a crisis. Congress is trying hard. As you saw in Uttar Pradesh, Priyanka did a massive campaign, and it's a very well organized campaign, issue-based campaign. But it couldn't work out on the ground because their language, their diction of politics are entirely different the way people think. There is a gap between the diction of the politics and the people aspiration. And that is because the makers of the Congress dictions are mostly the people those who have no connect with the people. So Congress need to revive its entire diction of doing politics. It always looks very nice. Ladki hu, ladti hu, lad sakti hu. It always looks very nice. It's very, I think, important issues which Congress raised, but it couldn't connect with the people because people have entirely different kind of aspirations. So that's they will have to nurse the leaders of the regional level. No, like Amrinder Singh was a very competent leader, but they have just ousted him, and now or he resigned. Now they tried to grown up Channi. And Channi, because Punjab politics, as you know, Dalits are divided in two parts. The largest population of Dalits lives in Punjab, but there are two fractions of the Dalit community, and though both are opposed to each other, both usually vote opposite to each other. So it couldn't work. And every polarization has a counter polarization, Gargi. So there was a polarization in the favor of Congress, the polarization of marginal communities, but there was also counter polarization of the other communities against the Channis. So
all right, well, lots to think about clearly for all parties, and the exit polls have thrown up all kinds of predictions. Of course, UP being the big one, returning with the BJP. We'll wait and see what happens on the 10th of March. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.